Welcome back to Choirwire, the podcast keeping music educators connected to the art of teaching. I'm Alex, your host. Today we're going to be talking about something that can make or break your choir experience: rehearsal strategies, conducting techniques, and yes, score prep. Now, before you start stress flipping through your octavos, take a breath. This episode is all about making your rehearsal smoother, your conducting clearer, and your score prep less like decoding ancient hieroglyphics and more like building a musical roadmap. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with score prep, because if you walk into rehearsal without knowing your score, you're basically trying to lead a road trip without a GPS. Here's a few ideas about score prepping without losing your mind. Number one, the first read through the score like a story. What is the mood? Where's the climax? Is this piece a slow burn or a dramatic explosion? Don't touch a pencil yet, just absorb. Mark the map. Grab your pencil and then start marking. Breath marks and phrasing. You have to think about that poetically or however you want the sentence to go. Dynamic shifts, key changes and tempo changes, tricky rhythms or intervals that might trip up your singers. Next, conducting decisions. Decide where you're going to cue, where you're going to cut them off, and where you're going to just let them fly. You should probably ask yourself, what does this moment need from me? Next, plan the teaching sequence. Teaching sequencing is so important. Break the piece into teachable chunks. Small bites, people. Do not try to teach the whole thing at one time. You will lose them quickly. Maybe start with the ending because it's the most exciting. Maybe also because it's the most challenging. Maybe teach the melody first and layer in the harmony later. Don't always go page by page. Go impact by impact. And sometimes you have to decide, what is the priority of the piece? Is it super rhythmic? Maybe you want to focus on the rhythmic integrity. Is it hard to tune because the chords are really, really complex? Maybe you want to focus on establishing those chords first. Score prep is like setting the table before the feast. You don't want to be scrambling for forks mid-meal. Knowing your score is going to then inform your next part of your rehearsal plan, because then you're going to know your music really well. That is one tip I will tell you. Know your music really, 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 really well. Forwards and backwards. Then after that, you're going to think about intention. You're going to set the table basically with your choir. When you're standing up in front of them, you might say, today we're locking in measures 12 through 24. That is your goal. Make that goal your priority. Don't go all over the place. Let's say also have a strand. And we talked about strand before, hopefully in college, but your strand might be pitches and rhythms. Your strand after that might be text stress. Your strand after that might be phrasing. Whatever it might be, you decide. And conducting. I know that everybody comes from different pedigrees from your colleges. Conducting is basically communication. So be clear, not fancy, cue with purpose, mirror the music, and conduct less and listen more. Today's special guest is someone who I honestly look up to when he is conducting a choir on the stage. Please welcome to Choirwire, Isiah Maxey. Isiah, how are you today?
I'm doing well. It's a hot, sunny day, so I am inside all day.
Yeah, it is real hot out. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're here on Choirwire, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about rehearsal technique and conducting. So, but first, how about this? Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your teaching background, classroom background?
Yes, of course. So I taught in Orange County Public Schools in Florida for about 6 years, and I was an associate director and a head director. And I went to do my master's at Cincinnati Conservatory for 2 years in conducting. And now I am getting my PhD in music education, choral conducting at Florida State University. So a little bit of variety on the conservatory side and music ed side, and also the high schools I taught at were performing arts high schools and a regular public school. So a little bit of variation on my education and the people I've taught.
And that's why I wanted you to come on the show, because I knew about, the things that I've seen you do in our county as well. And then I know that you've gone off to do your master's and you're working on your doctorate. And I think, some people will be like, oh, get someone that has like a lot of experience, but you do have a lot of experience as well. And my vision for this podcast is to not just get people that, are older, but people that are also, younger, but also doing the thing, and you're doing the thing.
So, of course. Yes. Varied experiences are great.
Yes. I'm glad to have you on the show. So let's jump into these questions here. So the first one is, what's your first step when prepping a new score? Do you have a ritual or routine that you follow?
Yeah, a ritual, let's say a routine. I usually always begin with the text before anything else. I used to always go straight to the piano and like see all the cool chords,
Yeah.
But I think I've come to the conclusion that choir is special because we sing text, right?
Yeah.
Like out of all the things in classical music, we have this ability to communicate text. So I recite out loud like it's a monologue if I don't know, Shakespeare, and
Yeah.
see what clicks. And then in what I found is that I see maybe why a composer took out a specific line of a primary text, or why they really wanted to keep everything in, even if it's not relevant to today's world, because it kind of puts a shade on what we're living now. So always start with the text, recite it, and which in turn I try to connect to the meaning of it. It's like, why did this composer in 2025 choose this text from whether it be 1920s or what was happening in that time? And then once I kind of have an idea and maybe even connect to the text, the only ritual that I probably will do is a phrasal analysis. And a phrasal analysis is just, everyone has probably done it in the past, where you say, okay, this is a 4-bar phrase and then a 4-bar phrase, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of sets me up to say, okay, this is a long phrase, like say Brahms, these are 8-bar phrases, and the choir in front of me is not that advanced, right?
Yeah.
So I probably should put this up until I have a choir that can sing 8 bars without breathing, right? So those two things kind of are things that I always start with. And then, of course, the harmonic and stuff, but that's not as important, I feel, as those two starting jump-off points.
I love that, because I feel like if I'm thinking about who Alex was 14 years ago, he would not have started that way. But now Alex starts that way. But yeah, I love that you said that. That's awesome. How do you keep energy up during a tough rehearsal week, especially when the music isn't clicking yet?
That's a hard one, because it depends if I'm in the beginning of the rehearsal or towards the end. But I think one thing I always try to do is shake things up, right?
Okay.
I know, being in teaching high school, I know that students love routine. And when the routine is like slightly off, they're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I think that causes their brains to be like, oh, whoa, wait, what? Right? So even if it's to a new warm-up, right? I fell into the struggle of doing the same warm-ups just because I know they work and I know it will get what I need to get done, right? But what if I added a new warm-up, because I know they know exactly, they're on automation, right? Okay, let's do a new one, or stand in a new formation. Like shaking things up. One thing that I used to do, we had a stairwell that was kind of close off to the school, but if I felt two things, if I felt things were dragging and
Mhm.
people weren't motivated, or they were super motivated and they got a song up to par way before the concert, we would take a trip we called it the cathedral. And
Oh.
so it's kind of like, those motivators, like, all right, let's go to the cathedral. Y'all
Mhm.
aren't
Mhm.
here. Let's shake it up. Let's go. Field trip.
Yeah.
So things like that. And then another thing that I really love is having informal checkups or informal assessment. Okay,
Mm.
I know we have 2 weeks until the concert, but we're going to run it and see what happens. And I want you to take notes, what we can figure out after. So just shaking things up.
The next question: how do you use facial expressions or body language to communicate with your choir? This is like a conducting question.
Yeah, conducting questions. So if I'm in the rehearsal, this sounds crazy, but and some students probably think I am crazy. My body, I try to embody the music. Whatever the music is telling me, I will do, but within a couple of reasons, right? So if I try to use nonverbal communication as much as possible, even though I
Yeah.
love talking, because I
Uh-huh.
don't want them to get dependent upon hearing me. That can be as easy as like, we all fall into the 1, 2, here
Yeah.
we go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yes, that translates to they know the tempo, which is great. But what if you just took a breath, right? And
Yeah.
had them just breathe with you and they're looking up and you're conditioning them to rely on your breath, which in turn gives them their tempo and or
Mm.
affect or emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So small things like that. And when I first started teaching, I used to always like imply their expectation, like you should be sitting up, right?
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
like I never self-checked myself, like how is my posture? Is it
Right.
are they modeling what I'm modeling? Is my posture bad? So of course their posture is going to be bad. Am I smiling before class starts, or am I like dreading this tenor bass choir, right? And so they
Mm-hmm.
feed off of some of those things. So
Yeah.
first checking with me and what am I doing and how can I model what I need from my choir.
Yeah. Someone told me a long time ago, don't remember who it was, that they were saying that you or your choir is basically a mirror of you.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't even have to get into this, but even vocally, like
Absolutely.
I have
Mm-hmm.
fallen into the sing in my falsetto for my soprano and altos,
Oh.
and then I hear them back and I'm like, oh, no way. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
they are models of you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you build trust with your singers so that they feel safe taking musical risks?
That's a hard one because musical risks, like I have been had amazing teachers, but sometimes I still feel hard, like taking a risk, right?
Hmm.
Just what if I just sing the notes and just get it over with, right?
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing, if I were to reduce it, I have to trust them first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to sound whoop-de-woo, but like it's about energy that I give to the people in front of me, and then that is like received back, right? So
Yeah.
if I show vulnerability to like going back to the meaning of the text, like starting with the text, if
Hmm.
I am vulnerable enough to maybe connect with the text to find my meaning through the text, I think it offers them, the students,
Hmm.
the learners, the singers, to kind of do the same, like find the connection from my story to their story, or vice versa, the antithesis of that. They don't relate to it. So there is a bigger emotion, right? So
Yeah.
trusting them and knowing that if I, going back to even modeling, if I model my mistakes and own it and say,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, I made a mistake, who cares, right?
Right.
They will in turn have that same type of mentality of like, I made a mistake, but I'm going to fix it.
Hmm.
Or we mess up the beginning. of this piece in the concert, but like we cannot wait to this B section because we're gonna show you what we got,
Right.
and we're gonna be in it. So I think trusting them, and in turn they will do what they need to do. Because I don't know, teachers are good at setting expectations. I think the problem is that we don't allow them, our learners, to reach the expectation. We kind of stop them and say, no, you can't do that. Let me show you how to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I really think it's just trusting who you have in front of you.
Yeah, I love that you said trust on both ends because, like you said, sometimes we're like, oh, they'll never get there. But if you set them up correctly, then they might surprise you.
They will surprise.
Like, I was reading a book the other day, and it was talking about process versus product.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, if your systems are in place for your process, then you don't have to worry about your product. It will deliver.
Right.
So it's like, if you've already set those expectations, if you've already got your systems in place, then they will be able to reach that mark.
Right. And most of the times they will exceed that mark, you know, just because they love what they do. They would not be there if they didn't. So,
right. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of stories, but I'll probably just talk about one. But going back to being vulnerable, I remember when I first started teaching, I did not want to be vulnerable. And some of the, choir directors that I had before, they weren't as vulnerable as some of the people that I saw when I started teaching, when I would go and observe people. And I didn't know that was a thing, that you could actually reach that point of being vulnerable in front of your students. And it was okay. So I took a risk one time to open up. I think it was probably year 4. And wow, the connection that happened between singer and conductor was way different. And it was a moment where I had to sort of get over my ego and say, like, no, I need to be vulnerable of telling them why this song connects with me, so that way they can find a way to connect with the song. And wow, it was life-changing for those singers, and some of them that, some of them are like 25 now, but but I run into them occasionally, and they were just like, those moments just changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. Like, and you use that awesome word, like modeling, showing them how we process, because we've been doing this thing called like musicking as we started, I started in high school 15, 17 years ago, right? And it's so easy for me to pick up a score and be like, oh, I'm moved, right? But like our youngins are like, wait, how do I hold this music?
Exactly.
And you want me to find meaning, and you want me to show it in my face? What?
Yeah.
And so like we have to like recycle this process of like, how do I show these students what it means to make music, right? A body, a mind, all of it. But yes, and we have to model it, and we can't just assume that they know how to find meaning in a Latin text, right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And also to our listeners, if you are listening, Isiah and I have probably judged or adjudicated many choirs where there's no feeling or meaning in the singing. So please, I'm giving you permission. Isiah and I are giving you permission right now that it is okay to talk about emotion and meaning behind the pieces that you are singing and performing on that stage, because us as the listeners, we want to feel included. We want to feel the emotions as well. So you have to model that on the stage to give back to your audience.
Absolutely. I love that. We, as the audience member, we want to feel too. That's why that's why we show up. We want to feel something.
We want to feel.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm off my soapbox.
Yeah. We'll get off together.
And for fun, what's your rehearsal superpower? The thing that you do that always gets you results?
Oh my God. So I was going to pick like being vulnerable, but I think I love that we picked that, like we kind of talked about that, because I kind of want to talk about something else. I love the vowel chart, and like I say vowel chart, and I bet everyone's brain goes to like our voice lessons, right? And how to pronounce our Italian ah vowel
Right.
or
Mm-hmm.
these pure vowels. And I mainly use about like, I draw like a triangle, but like without the bottom line, if that makes
Uh-huh.
sense. And on one
Yeah.
side, I put the closed E vowel, and on the other side, I put a closed U vowel. And then at the
Mm-hmm.
top, I put an ah. And we kind of discover through a vocal technique and intonation through this vowel. I'm a visual learner, and I know a lot of other people are. And
Right.
so you always, every time I'm up, I put a big triangle, put my E, put my ah, put my oo. And so, for example, if I were to use, like, just come in and work with a middle school, or no, let's do freshman high school treble singers, I
Mm-hmm.
would put that vowel chart up, and we would spend a lot of time on ooh, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember when I taught, my singers love Billie Eilish. I know
Oh,
it's
Billie
Eilish.
Eilish.
I know it's Eilish. And they only really use chest voice, or they didn't know what head voice, or
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
feeling of what an ooh really should sound like.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like, oh, I have to use my lips for an ooh
Right.
vowel.
Right.
So we kind of codify, okay, ooh, this side is lip vowel. This side is tongue vowels. Can you
Mm-hmm.
move your tongue? Can you move your lips? And we kind of start from the basics, but we all get on the same page of how it is to form vowels and to listen to intonation. So going back to the treble singers, we will only sing on the ooh vowel. Are your lips included in that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
from in the warm-ups, and then when we can move it, that same idea to like the music. Say there's a chord that isn't tuned, we're all singing like it's on an ah, right? Or
Yeah.
something. I know that the tenors and basses are a little out of tune, so I would go to an eval because it's has higher frequencies and they can hear if it's in tune or not in tune. And
Mm.
so, and I teach them that, okay, this eval is higher frequency. Why do you think? Move your tongue up and down. What do you think that is relevant to the frequencies that we can hear? So it's a way for me to geek out, but it's also a way for them to see what we're trying to do, and we're like, no, that's out of tune. No, I
Mm-hmm.
need more head voice. And I'm realizing a lot of people just are not aware of the verbiage that
Yeah.
we've been aware of. So
Yes.
my superpower is the vowel chart.
Well, I love that too because you said you want to give them a visual reference, and also too they need to know what it feels like.
Yes, 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 yes.
That is something that I feel like a lot of people don't realize, that these are new singers. They don't know anything. Like, I just assume you don't know anything. And I just say, this is what it feels like to me. It might feel a little different to
Different to
you, but
you.
I'm giving a little bit of like where you should be feeling it because they don't know.
Exactly. I love that. This is how it feels to me. It's up to you because it's all about feeling, and we all
Hmm.
feel things differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one tool that I think a it's easy enough that we all can use, and we know a little bit of something about
Hmm.
vowels to like teach them and to bring
Yeah.
awareness to that, because we just sing like it's like we all have been singing together, but we're
Hmm.
not. You have a challenge to make 40 to 50 people sound the same, ideally,
Yeah.
sing the same
Hmm.
vowel, produce the same type of format. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if I'm always writing a vowel chart in my rehearsal just because it's a way for me to not assume, and for
Hmm.
me to not get in that reactionary mode of like, no, it's not that. And it's like, oh,
Right.
wait, did I teach them that? Let me go back to
Right.
the sport. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So important. So
hmm
important.
hmm
Do you have any advice for people that, let's say, maybe they're a little insecure about their conducting gesture or their rehearsal technique?
Yes, I do. I am a huge choir nerd, and I've watched a lot of videos. And if there's a choir ensemble, like maybe within 100 miles from me, I probably will go watch them. And I have realized that it does not matter how well your hands move. There's no correlation to how good or bad your choir sounds. There may be some discrepancies of tempo when it
Hmm.
starts or etc. But the biggest thing is that you are communicating what you need to your choir to therefore sing or have that expectation to communicate to the audience. I think that we spend so much time in the choral classroom, either at the piano or solfeging, and we don't get much time at conducting, right? We get like maybe 2 or 3 rehearsals, and then with our accompanist, if you're blessed, and then you have to do the performance. We're aware of that, but I think the biggest thing is about the breath and starting the song. If you know your tempo and you're aware, you just have to give a breath and a downbeat. Whatever kind of happens in between, this may be a bad thing to say and people may disagree with me, but I've seen a lot of conductors not do a beautiful pattern, but their ensemble, if you did not see them conduct, you would think it was the best conductor that you've ever seen. And I would even go further. Some of the best music makers, if you watch them without the audio, you'll be like, whoa, this is not that good. I did not learn that in my conducting class, right?
Yeah.
But who cares, right? Who cares what some people made up as a 4 pattern? You know, in the before times, they used a stick to tell the tempo. So who says? So my advice would be to stay true to the meaning of the text and to communicate good musicking. And the rest, who cares? Some people may not agree with that, but like, what is important? How your hands, your 4 pattern, or that your students are invested? I don't know.
And that also goes back to the question of who are you doing it for?
Who are you doing it for? Exactly.
Are you doing it for yourself so you can look nice and have a pretty gesture? And you might have a pretty gesture, but then your choir might not even be following it.
And you're just listening. You're conducting the recording that you've been listening to on repeat, as opposed to being in front of the people that are there with you. So that was
beautifully said. That was
Thank
amazing.
you. Some of the best, like, go to a national ACDA and you're like, oh, I didn't learn that in my class, but this is some of the best singing you will ever hear in a choir. So that's my advice.
Well, great, Isiah. This was such a great chat today about rehearsal technique and conducting, and you just reminded me of a lot of things that I have to get my mind set for the next couple of weeks. So,
and it's going to be great. I know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isiah, for chatting with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And that's going to do it for today's episode of Choirwire. Thank you to our special guest, Isiah Maxey. Whether you're prepping scores at midnight, conducting with coffee in hand, that's always me, or trying to wrangle 40 teenagers into a clean cutoff, just know you're doing the work and it matters. Try one of these strategies in your actual rehearsal. Tweak it, make it your own, and then tell me how it went. I want the wins, the flops, and the unexpected breakthroughs. If this episode gave you a spark, share it with your fellow music teacher, or send it to your student teacher with a note that says, this is your survival guide. Until next time, keep prepping, keep conducting, and keep building your choir community one rehearsal at a time. Until next time, y'all. If Choirwire has added a little harmony to your rehearsal week or sparked something new in your planning, consider supporting the show. Just head on over to choirwire.buzzsprout.com to help support. No pressure, just a simple way to keep the ideas flowing and the episodes coming. I have ideas of expanding the show past my small platform. Thank you for all you do, and thanks for being part of this community.